Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. It's me, Sabrina. I'm here. We're going to get started right at about 7. We're waiting on our panelist. Let's see if she has joined in. Yep, here she is. Hey, can you make it turn into a video?
Why can't you hear me?
I can definitely hear you. Let's see. I keep clicking promote to a panelist. Did it give you the option? There we go.
Yay, start video. It says you have to grant me video.
Okay, hold on. I just click ask to start video. I think you should have got it.
Let's see.
Still didn't add, it didn't do it?
No, it says that the host stopped it. Let me try and.
Hi, everyone. Okay, while we're trying to figure out this entire Zoom thing, please, everyone, drop where you are from. We want to hear what city, what state you're in. That's usually how we kind of start off our little roll call. So go ahead and drop in the chat box where you're from. Still nothing? Okay. All right, so let's see where you all are from while we're still trying to figure this out. All right, I see Durham, North Carolina, Durham, Charlotte, hey Ray. We got LA, yes, LA. We got Jessica, we got 2 people from LA. Brittany, hey Brittany from New York. We have Houston, Texas, Atlanta, Toronto, Canada. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a good one. St. Louis, we have Durham, Raleigh, Atlanta, Raleigh. Hey, Sharon. Girl, Lena, you from Durham. No, I'm teasing. Jersey girl living in Atlanta, DC, Durham.
Do the video again. Let's see if.
Okay. All right, hold on. Sharonda, you are from. Okay. Did it work?
Nope. I see a big old E. Let me try again. Okay.
Yes, usually I click ask to start video and it just works.
Yeah. I've never gotten this message. It says unable to start video. And I went out and came back in to see if that would make a difference.
Okay, let me try to make you a host. Tell me if it works now, if you can make it a video.
Boom. We in there.
All right, hold on. Let me see where else more of the ladies are from. Yes, Durham County. Okay, thanks, Crystal. Figure that out. All right, ladies, it's 7:03 and I am all about time as much as possible. But we are here today. Let's see, Scudda, I see you. We had some people that just tried to register. Let me make sure they're not trying to register for today.
Hey, Jersey.
Yeah, they are. Let me just send an email to a latecomer, and then we're going to go ahead and get this thing moving.
Hi, Tina from Cary.
You know, by next week, I'm going to have some waiting room music, so y'all don't see all this discourse that happens behind the scenes.
I was trying to get my virtual background together. I had from my other company, Black Tech, we had a webinar on Tuesday, and my business partner there had like these super dope backgrounds. Like she had a full-on library in her house, but I was running around trying to buy some ginger. So y'all gonna get my plants, my terrace, and my—
Try to can you see if you can actually make me a host again, because now it's disabled my video.
Oh, I've taken over. So now that I've taken over the show for now, let me see.
If not, we're going to go ahead and get started while we're playing around with chords and things until we can get this thing moving.
Still has you as the host on mine.
Okay, hold on. I know what I need to do. But ladies, we're going to go ahead and get started with the questions so that we're just not losing a whole lot of time. And I know how I need to get back in. This happened to us on the other one. But before we go there, I think you already addressed everybody. We have Brooklyn. I'm so excited to see Canada here. We do have a question. Oh, I see Brooklyn. That was the one for Brooklyn. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell the ladies where you're from, what you do for a living, and we can just kind of take it from there.
All righty. Hi, ladies from all over the place. My name is Enovia Bedford. I'm a marketer. Specifically, I work in sponsorship coordination. So my background is a little bit interesting. I was a jewelry designer for almost 10 years. I designed mass market. So I designed for over 200 stores. So that's your Forever 21, your Walmart, your Lane Bryant, your, at the time, 579, and all those places that we all love to shop. There's like a 75% chance that everyone on this call owns something that I designed in my previous life. While I did that, I moonlit at a production company where my job was always sponsorship. So making sure that we had stuff for gift bags, making sure we had money for film. We produced events and film. So making sure that, we had money. So doing large scale deals. And in my mid 20s, I was kind of like, hey people, do you know how to do this? And every time I would ask people, if I asked 20 people, 18 would say no, they had no idea how to secure sponsorship. So that's when I started to work procuring sponsorship for other people, more agency style. And I just never stopped. So I've worked with Tennessee, Airbnb, Fiverr, Tito's, Jack Daniels, Clarisonic, and the list kind of keeps going on. I've worked with a lot of celebrities. I've worked with a lot of influencers. I've worked on 20,000 people events. I've worked on 12-person yoga trips. So it kind of runs the gamut through all aspects of business, through fashion and tech, food, entertainment. Right now, my team is working on a fishing trip for someone. So we kind of do a little bit of everything. And yeah, it's my jam. So I started VetDeck, which is a technology company, almost 2 years ago. We officially launched last year. We did a year of research and development. And so we basically build bomb decks for people and curate sponsorship lists so they know who to reach out to based on their demographics.
Gotcha. Love it. Love it. Really quickly, can you invite me to the video? It should work now. Let's see what happens. If not, we're just going to keep it moving.
But I love to see your face. You look so I don't want to undo myself. Okay. There you go.
Okay, I'm the host now. Hi, everyone. I'm back. Woo! Okay, that made me break out in a sweat, but we're back. All right, ladies.
We got it.
Moving. All right, so for modern startup or influencers to succeed, you will need to form great partnerships. In doing it right, it will actually separate you from the winners and the losers. From big to small, Enovia has learned how to find a business partner and properly tap into partnerships to propel a business or influencer forward. She's going to break down what she has learned about creating great business partnerships, and if followed properly, it can dramatically transform the trajectory of your finances and your success. All right, ladies. So she already gave, usually I do that whole spiel, then we do the introductions, but it's all right. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. For those who do not know, my name is Sabrina Seymour. I'm the founder of The Prevailing Woman, and I will be moderating this conversation today. So tell us, what has your day-to-day life been like since the coronavirus outbreak?
So my day-to-day life has been helping clients maneuver. So I have clients that were participating in South by Southwest, in March Madness, in what is it, the NCAA out of Atlanta, that's completely canceled now. So basically helping them pivot and turn things around so those who have received bags can keep them and we can continue doing the work. And if something absolutely has to get postponed, to postpone it, but trying to avoid canceling things. So day to day has literally been emails, phone calls, figuring out where everybody is, figuring out what the brand's contingency plans are, because we're all in this, right, pivoting together. So seeing where they fit, figuring out what brands that are dropping out of larger events will be up and running in the next couple of months to tap into those funds that are not going to be going to those large events anymore. So making the best out of it, because it is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for all, especially the smaller, the micro and the macro businesses, to start building relationships with these brands and starting to cash in.
Gotcha. So it sounds like you've been kind of playing the switch and pivot role with a lot of events. That has definitely been my story the last few days, but we're on the last one, and I think this is going to be it. So going into our next question, can you share the difference between brand partnerships and sponsorships? And I think that is super important to know the difference between the two, because there's a difference.
Yes, there's definitely a difference. For partnerships, it's more of we're in this for the long haul and less monetary transactions. So when you go into a partnership, think about when you go into, a business partnership, say you have a co-founder, say you have a business partner, it's definitely a equal share. Like if you're putting money out, I'm putting money out. If we're doing this, we're doing this together. So partnering with brands can, from a financial standpoint, you won't have to do anything, but you'll still be doing just as much work. Sponsorships it can be in kind, which means you're getting, free stuff. It can be monetary. If it's a media company, you can have a media sponsorship. If it's a venue, somebody can sponsor. So sponsorship usually is on the kind of like one-off or event series, where for partnerships, you want long-term partnerships. Even for our sponsorships, I try to lock in sponsors for 3 years, like a year at minimum. This one-off, I'm having a brunch, I'm having a party, I'm having this. Like that's not playing for the long term. So partnerships are more for the long term. You can have a check attached to that. But in both, you're basically acting as the marketing company. So I think that once people, events, influencers realize that you're acting as a marketing company, the way that business is done will kind of pivot and change, because it's like, okay, now, I'm running this from a different aspect. I'm not just a person having an event. I'm essentially a marketer, that's an agency that's going to be taking on this client.
Really quickly, ladies, if at any point during this discussion, if you have a question, just hit it in the chat box. There's also a Q&A box that should be on your screen. Please just drop them and we will ask them as the conversation goes on. So there's no like set Q&A time. It's just throughout the entire conversation. But keep going.
Yeah. But yeah, so I definitely think that both should be long-term endeavors. Like you shouldn't look for, you know, I just want $5,000 for this company because I'm having an XYZ. It's how do I maximize that and, you know, keep the relationship going.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this. So you are having this one-off event, you know, a brunch, a conference, whatever the case may be. What would be the most appropriate way to approach a company to let them know that you, because I think there is a misconception, like you reach out to them, and I'm guilty of this too, so I'm very curious to know. You reach out to a company and it's like, I want you to sponsor such and such for 2020. Well, what would be the most appropriate way to reach out to them to try to develop that long-lasting partnership with them? Because are you saying we need to change the language? Do we need to change our approach? Or do we just need to be upfront and say we want to have this partnership with you for the next 3 years because we're having an event for 3 years?
Yeah, so the first step is always building the relationship. So as a marketer, I've worked for beverage companies. Most of my experience is in food, beverage, spirits, and technology. And I would get such crazy emails from people like, we're having a dog walk and, you know, we want Coca-Cola for the dog. Like, you know, just out of the pocket stuff. So number one is making sure that those brands fit your demographic. So, you know, everyone wants to go after the big guys that have money. Everyone is like, you know, I want Coke, I want Pepsi, I want, because they have these checks. But you have to think, if Pepsi is sponsoring the Super Bowl, how much money are you going to get? You can't go in there and ask them for, you know, $50,000. So the first step is getting through all of that work and pinpointing those brands. Then always have a really robust plan. So if you are having a one-off, if you are having a brunch, or you are having a conference, the conference I'll tackle after because that can build up over a couple of years. But say you're having this brunch, right? First brunch, or have you done a couple of brunches? Because it's gonna be different maneuver for each one.
No, I don't. Well, I guess I can speak for myself. There's ladies I know on the panel, in the discussion that have brunches. I don't really have. I have like a homecoming brunch, but that's not really.
I have to say, like in general, because I don't exactly.
No, I do. I think my focus would probably, for me personally, it would be more so my conference, a 3-day conference. But there are some ladies I know that just from looking on the list that do have brunches and, you know, 1-day events as well. I have 1-day events as well, but my biggest focus is the women's conference.
So I'll do it both ways. So say it's your first time event, right? Anytime you're having a first time event, it is not good to run up in these brands' inboxes on that first email talking about, I'm having this brunch. I don't know who's coming because I don't have any research. I know the demographics are my friends and I want $12,000. So don't do that.
Yeah.
First, you're still going to do your research. If it's your first time, the approach would usually be an invitation. Hey, I'm having this event. I'd love to invite you to come and speak. If possible, if you're open to sponsorship, can we say it's for Hennessy? You know, I'd love to have this brunch, or you just did something, the dinner with Cavassier. So we'll use them since it's a friendly brand. So, you know, you'll reach out and say, hey, you know, we're having this brunch in 3 months and past from now, right, ladies? We're not pitching for stuff that's happening next month. Because I have to beat people up about that all the time too.
What is a good time frame to pitch the brands if you're having an event?
Yep, you start building those relationships 12 months to 18 months out. So right now I'm getting nice size checks for relationships I built this time last year, this time the year before. So you really want to get into that pipeline. This is why this is kind of good. I mean, not good, but like to slow everybody down, because people can understand sponsorship, because right now all you can do is build relationships, right? So say, all right, I'm having a brunch in October. So, you know, my email is, hey, Cavassier, you know, whatever the person's name, let's say her name is Michelle. Hey, Michelle, I follow you on LinkedIn. I saw that, you know, you've just done something with Prevailing Women. I'm having a brunch with a similar demographic. I'd love to invite you to come and speak to my ladies. And if you could provide a full bar, the prevailing woman.
No, it was crooked. No,
Oh,
you're good. Go ahead.
The full name right. And if, you know,
it's normal. It's all right. It's all right.
But we'd love for you to provide a full sponsored bar in exchange for, and then you list your bullets. Like, I'd love to hop on a call with you. Yeah. So that first email is going to be the, let me feel the temperature kind of email, you know? And then if you do that brunch again, especially for your first time, asking people for money for your first time anything is always sticky because you haven't done it before. So you don't know who's going to come. You don't know if you're going to sell tickets. If it's free, you don't know who's going to come. So you can't really speak to the demographics. So that first event always should be a relationship building point. Now, say you're like 2 years into this, right? You know who your demographic is. You know how many people come. You know how many times the post gets shared and all that stuff. That's a different conversation. So say Michelle from Courvoisier comes. She comes to the brunch. She has a wonderful time, right? So you're like, thank you so much to our sponsor, Michelle, whatever. You send her your recap, 48 hours for pictures. So there can be two. The first one will be all of the pictures that have been taken. And then in a week, send her the full recap with the numbers. What I like to do is get with their social media team early and create a plan. So you know what kind of pictures to be feeding social, because what that does is they get something instantly, but also you pick up that traffic. Because now people are like, well, what's this? How come I wasn't invited? Let me put this on my calendar. So you want to get with their social media team early.
Social media team of the brand.
Of the brand, yep. You get with the social media
team. Of things that they actually are interested, like what drives their kind of, I guess you can say, market itself.
Exactly. So say RCA is looking for pictures of women in pink blazers. And you have 5 women there in pink blazers that you can, you know, so
I'll be there. Nah.
So make sure you're having conversations earlier, because not only now are you working with, you know, the regular marketing department, now you're also working with the social media team. So all you're doing is making friends, right? So now you got somebody at their social that you can ask questions to and say, hey, because you can learn a lot about the demographic and what people need from what they're posting on their social, clearly. So if you have that direct intel, it's a whole different conversation. You know, when you talk to Pam in the social media department and she's like, well, actually, we need to get pictures of groups of women eating eggs. And you're like, I'm having a brunch. We got mad eggs. So now, you know, you take those pictures and you feed them to her so it can be posted in real time. So that happens immediately. Then the next 48 hours, you do the picture recap of all the pictures. And then in a week, up to a week, you do the full recap of, you know, this is how many people didn't know about the brand now that said that they would buy it. You send out a survey after and collect all of your data and provide them with the insights. So now Michelle is like, oh, she's bomb. She gave me everything I needed that she didn't know I needed. So now when you send that recap, you're like, hey, Michelle, this was so great. I'm going to have one of these every year. Can we get you to commit to $10,000 a year for the next 3 years, because we want to make it bigger and we want to invite more women. And that's when that conversation starts. So now you went from, you know, a sponsored event to 3 years of every year, you know, you're going to get your check. So that covers the first time event, that covers the multiple event, and then like a conference. So if you're having a conference that's yearly, you still have the whole year to promote it.
Right.
So it can be that one event, but you want to hit them every month for this is, you can be included in this newsletter. You can be included in this. You can be included in this as the total package. So you don't just get, you know, your setup at the conference that one time a year. We engage these people for the whole 12 months of the year, and you don't pay for that.
And that's let me tell you, giving a brand a recap afterwards literally makes the person, typically the DNI, the marketing man, whomever, it makes their life so much easier. Now it depends on the brand, because not everyone that sponsor has to have those reports and numbers. Some do, some don't. But I learned that after working with Courvoisier. They're big on like alcohol. Clearly, they want to see your cups. They want to see you drinking. They want to see how you were feeling and moving. Were you at the bar? What did the bar look like? I spit those images to her within 48 to 72. I think my photographer that I worded that is on here too. Yeah. Like, you have to turn that stuff into the, because that will blow them away. Because for one, all they're doing is hitting forward on that itself.
Like, as a marketer, I don't want to have to come to you and ask that, because I have to explain to my boss, one, I'm gonna get real with y'all because it's all Black women on this call, right?
Yeah.
So as a marketer,
I think so. I don't know, but if not, I mean, it's cool.
Listen, I'm a Black woman, so this is what I'm gonna talk about. So, you know, it's hard to go into your boss's office and explain that you just sponsored this, you know, mostly minority event and you have nothing to show for it. Because as marketers, when we're in those rooms, we are fighting for y'all. So I shouldn't have to ask you for a recap. I shouldn't have to ask you for any of these things because I just went to bat for you, you know? So it's like, make my job easier, give me what I need, because I want to sponsor you. You know, I want to continue the relationship. And I have brands. Arizona Iced Tea is a brand that I can call this woman no matter what company she's at, and she will always give me whatever I want because I sent her a recap. And I sent it to her and she called me. This was like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. She's been at different companies since then. And she's like, Enovia, nobody sends me recaps. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's, you know, it's part of my life. How can nobody send you recaps? She's like, people get product, people get money, and they never say anything. And it's literally a key to continuing those relationships and moving along. We have a couple of questions.
Yeah. So just to kind of to filter them, just to kind of stay in line with the question, the conversation we're in now, and we'll get to all of them. The first one that I wanted us to kind of touch on was, how do you secure a sponsorship with a brand or a company when you don't have 50K followers?
Okay, so it's actually easier than you think. It really depends. It really depends on what department you go to. So I wanted to bring that up because you said, you know, the D&I, the marketing. I get my money out of every department in a company. So I don't, you know, most people are just like, I'm going to hit up the marketing department because that's what they know. But D&I has money for things. The cafeteria has money for things. HR has money. The legal team has money.
The legal team has money. Listen, my biggest sponsorships come from the attorney of a brand. She's the attorney. She's the lawyer for the brand, and she has money.
Every department has money, so it's like, you know, 10,000 people are hitting up the marketing department, but nobody is thinking about the lawyer who also, you know, who has budget that she needs to spend, or else she's not gonna get it again. You know, nobody's thinking about the cafeteria and going and doing a pop-up there, you know, when they have money to spend. So one is finding the company that you need to find and finding the right department and who you actually need to be speaking to. And I think it's a very niche down kind of thing. But so if you have less than 50,000 followers right now, micro and nano influencers are huge. So if you're doing something specifically that's online, you got to find those companies that work with, like, you know, whatever you're selling, whatever your demographic is, whoever matches that. Like the yoga event that I secured sponsorship for, it's a 12-person yoga event. It happens every year. They keep it to 12 people. They've gotten money, they've gotten yoga mats, they've gotten candles, they've gotten electrolytes, they've gotten athletic wear for 12 people, including the instructors is 14, right? So you really have to just create a package that makes people go, oh, the spin on that was that it's 12 people. It's super intimate. And then you dig into demographics. So I know from being a marketer that a brand can be mentioned up to 60 times in a week by one person. So if there's 12 of you together for a week, and somebody is saying a brand 60 times, and while we're in the yoga class, you lit these candles that somebody sponsored, and someone is like, "Oh, that candle smells good."
Smell good, girl.
Right? You know, it's Lavanda's candles. Then you're like, okay. And now when you're eating, everybody's like, "Dang, that candle smells so good." Like, and there's a conversation around that, and you're integrating the brand into the experience. So don't let the amount of followers that you have stop you from pitching to people. And let me know when you get your first bag.
Because I can give like a slight personal testimony. I just had Nike they seeded me a pair of shoes the other day for Air Max Days on Monday. I have like about 4,000 followers on my personal page. And I got a pair of shoes. So I did not pitch them. Let me be clear. I didn't pitch them. I do have other brands that, you know, have decent followers as well. But my name, besides my event planning company, is not totally attached to it. But they just saw that I post like working out and different things like that. And
they're like, you got all the ladies.
Sometimes you got to know somebody. You also got to know somebody sometimes.
Well,
and they may not all the way know you, but they may just know you because they just see your page, you know, on social media. And they're like, oh, well, what is this? I'm curious, whatever the case may be. And then they reach out because there are people in these positions that just want to kind of lift the community up. And they see if you're trying and you're, you know, trying to get things moving, they'll reach out to you. So don't be discouraged if you don't have a lot of followers.
And build these relationships. Honestly, one of the best things that you can do is reach out to a brand or a marketer and say, you know, I love this brand. What are you looking for? Just ask them. That's the first conversation I have with any brand. I'm like, what are you looking for? Because honestly, before you create a sponsorship deck, I mean, you should still have a deck in the works with your information in it. But before you create the packages, you need to know what they want, because you can't be out here creating packages for stuff that nobody wants.
Right. Right. And kind of going into, let me see, hold on. Someone had asked, she had asked, okay. So I'm going to ask our question, and then there's another question that kind of intertwines into that. So the first one is, what is a brand influencer? What is like your canned definition of a brand influencer?
Okay. So the social media brand influencers are, you know, kind of by the book, people with large followings, high engagement that connect with people, right? They connect with people, people trust them into making a purchase. Then you have the early adapters. The early adapters are people who probably have like 300 followers, because they are people that are like the art director at Nike. They're, you know, they're people that are behind the scenes that are the ones who are, you know, adapting these things early and then spreading it out to influencers. So there's always the people in the background that like get no shine, you know, that are really the ones that are the influential people. And it's also the influence, because I know people that have 500 followers, but when you go to their follower list, it's like, oh, okay. Like, yeah.
You got 5, look, the first 10 followers are the executive, the CEO of this, that, you know, I would tell you, don't sleep on people with low followers. That means nothing.
That means nothing, because they're actually making influence at these tables and in these meetings. And, you know, so I think that, you know, social media influencers with large followings are great. And then you have the micros that are, you know, that 100,000 and less followers who are definitely picking up now. And then you have the nanos who are like 5,000 followers who are getting busy. One of my clients, I worked with him. We worked with like Nivea, Hennessy, Clarisonic. It's a lot of, he's a male groomer. He had maybe 4,000 or 5,000 followers. And it was, you know, they were trying to cater to African-American men who were into grooming, and they were also doing Caucasian men who were into grooming. The Caucasian male was at 170,000 followers. He was at like 4,000, 5,000, and he sold 3 times the amount of Clarisonics than the 125, because his followers engage and his followers believe, and his followers don't just necessarily follow to follow. They follow because they trust him and they're actually looking, you know, for advice. So there's room for everyone, honestly, in the influencer game.
And so kind of the next question that was leading into that is, should we not be approaching brands right now, given the current climate and brands dealing with their own internal marketing hurdles?
Listen, if any of y'all saw my Instagram video last week, shoot your shot. Like, honestly, for us, now is the time not to go and ask brands for $1 million, but to build relationships. Because when you think about it, everybody's at home, right? Everybody is at home right now, supposed to be working, and they're all dilly-daddling. So they're like, I get to work from home now, yay. No, but seriously, like, now is the time that if you already have the relationship, ask them what their contingency plan is and what it's going to look like when they're coming out. Because this is how you start making the deals and pulling from some of those large deals that they have. Literally have a conversation. Send emails to those people that you've been trying to reach out to. Like, you know, I know this is a tough time. I'm just interested in if there's any information you can give me about how the the company is handling it and what it means for events or influencers going further in sponsorship, let me know and start a conversation. One, they're gonna remember you because you talking to them during my Sharona. So, they're gonna be like, remember we were all trying to get all the toilet paper? Like, so you already have that connection point as a human, and it kind of brings them down. And right now they're looking for ways. If you've noticed, none of these ads have stopped running, right? Commercials are still playing on TV, ads are still playing on the radio. So companies are still going to be concerned about making their money when this is all over. So you want to be part of that plan. So you want to start talking to people. You want to start building those relationships now, like as soon as possible. Because when they come back in and they have to rewrite their budget, you want to be mentally in their heads for that conversation.
I literally just emailed all of our partners for the conference because there's some changes in date and location, and I heard from everyone except for one person within an hour. These are usually people that take a week, maybe even a month of me hounding them and then sending them a text on the side like, hey, because I've worked with the majority of them for, a number of years. But these are usually people that take forever. Everyone is doing exactly what we're doing now for the most part. Yeah, so I personally, I agree with you. I agree. I think that now is the time to go ahead and put it out there. They may not be able to spend money, but they may still have product or whatever, because everyone wants to make sure their stuff is fresh in everyone's mind so that when everyone does feel safe about spending money again, they remember that ad or that post that you did. Because I know I find myself scrolling on social media just a little bit too much these days. So I have a little bit more free time. So I'm seeing like things, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know she did that. And I'm like going to her page like, hey, she's been posting this stuff for a long time. Right. But I just was so busy. So I have to agree. I don't think, and nobody was offended that I sent the email. They were just kind of like, can't make any decisions till we're back in full running, or some people can make. It just depends on the company and kind of what their situation is.
Yep, it depends on the company and who you talk to. And, as a marketer, it's like you have so many fires to put out and things. You need that mental, release. So there's some amount of time where you're like, let me look at my emails. Oh, somebody has, something that's digital coming up, so I can still get some things done and still hit my numbers, because people still have to hit their, their numbers. Right. But people are still going to have goals after this that they need to make up for and hit. So if I get a new, person in my inbox that's talking something that I like to hear, that's an instant relationship. So yeah.
Right. Someone said, can you give an example of what's included in a package that a nano influencer would present to a brand?
Yeah, so you can probably you can put in your package what I guess larger brands. Can you write your industry, Sharonda?
I feel like I can answer this for her. I think she's a little bit more on the lifestyle. She's a life coach. She's also a mental health professional. But I don't know. She might be trying to do something I don't know about. But I believe that's her area that she's going to talk about.
So lifestyle, mental
health. She's a life coach. Yeah, I'm right.
Got it. So in terms of brands, who's your ideal brand? Girl, you better tell me, because I'm about to tell you what to do.
It takes a little bit. Oh, she's not sure yet.
Okay, so let's say mental health coach, lifestyle brand. Let's say vitamins. Vitamins sounds good because, mental health, you might sharpness, focus, calm, maybe it's something CBD, but let's say it's a vitamin company, right? So, right. Now there's a lot of CBD companies sponsoring stuff. Let's go with CBD, because I take it for my anxiety. So we'll go with the CBD company, right? So
yeah.
You're a nano influencer. We'll talk about now, we'll talk about future. So say you already have a relationship with the CBD company that produces candles, oils, and what else they produce? Gummies, maybe?
gummies. They have, pretzels, cookies, oil. Yeah. And
Okay,
I just heard all these things,
let's
I just
right. Let's say so let's say it's a company that produces candles, cookie dough,
yeah.
gummy bears, and oil. So
Yeah.
your pitch would say, hey, my name is Sharonda. My company is XYZ. I'm hosting a virtual sleepover where ladies are going to get together and we're going to da 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 da. In your offerings, you can say, we're going to have a bake-a-thon to see who can make the best version of these chocolate chip cookies and show it off. So whatever it is, since we're in a virtual world right now, that's what you can do there. And in the package, it can be, for it's somebody that you're already working with. So it could be like, for $1,000, there might be 50 women on this virtual sleepover. Here's going to be the activities. You can sponsor this activity, this activity, this activity. So that's virtual. Then you would get into newsletters. We'll promote your product. We'll do coupon code. It can go on the site, all that stuff, Instagram story. You can do the same thing that you would do virtually in real life. You can say, hey, CBD oil, I want to host a sleepover for 20 women. We need this amount of space. This is what it costs. We need $5,000. That will cover this many hotel rooms or an Airbnb house or however you want to kind of lay it out. So the first step is to basically figure out who you want and work backwards. And again, since this is a CBD oil that you already know what their needs are, right? So in these packages that you're creating, it's because you've had some kind of preliminary conversation and you know what they want. So maybe they want to meet get into the hands of African-American women in Charlotte, North Carolina. And you're like, I have that demographic and this is what we're going to do. So you kind of have to take it case by case, like our decks. That the package page is always different, and we don't really do the silver, gold, bronze kind of package. We do more customization because that's honestly what brands really want. I have to do silver, gold, bronze, or whatever names you want to make up for them because clients still request it, but I absolutely that's not how I sell. I sell from very specific, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get, 3 Instagram posts. You're going to get a 2-hour, live event. You're going to get a 3-hour in-person event, and then let them pick. You price it kind of high, and if they're like, oh, well, we only want this, this, and this, whatever your number in your head is, if you're like, I need a minimum of $5,000 for this event, you price it at 8, you price it at 9, and let them say, well, we only want the Instagram post and this, and whatever they want. Be like, okay, that's $5,000. And get your money to go. So start
always overpriced because they're going to typically try to counter offer you. Always. So always overpriced.
Always overpriced. And let me know when you find that CBD oil cookie dough company because that was what
I did. We got a few more questions. Let's see. I don't know if you want to answer this one too about how much do you think how do we know how much is too much or too less to ask for? And then we'll kind of move on.
Yeah, that's always a tough thing. So what I'd like to do is if there's a brand that you want to work with that's already sponsored another event, find that company's deck. Usually their deck is lingering someplace online and match it up. So if, Coca-Cola did a silver sponsorship on whatever event and you can get a copy of that deck and you see it's 15,000, they probably came in more at 10, and then you know what to play with. Also ask. I ask companies their budget all the time. I'm like, how much do you want to spend for digital? How much do you want to spend for in-person events? And they might say, oh, well, we don't have a number in mind. And then whatever your number in mind is, double it. So if you're like, I need 10,000, say, well, is 20,000 something around? If they don't flinch, then you just made double of what you expected. You might need to leave a little bit money on the table, but it's more than you were going to get. I had a friend who, I think it was Toyota, wanted them to host something. So they hit me up. They texted me like, hey, I need your help. Like, Toyota wants me to host this, whatever. So I was like, okay, well, what do you need me to help do? Like, I don't know how much to charge. I was like, how long is it? They said, it's 3 days. I was like, okay, what do you want to charge? They were like $500 a day. I was like, tell them $5,000. Tell them you want $5,000 a day. They were like, really? I feel like that's so much. I was like, what are they going to do? You don't have a contract. All they could do is say no. Tell them $5,000. So he was like, all right. He hit me back. He was like, they're going to pay me $5,000 a day for them 3 days. So he went from wanting $1,500 to $15,000 because he asked. So I'm sure, you know, he could have asked for more, you know, but I remember what he said. I was like, if you want 500, then ask for 5,000, you know, but I'm sure he probably could have got maybe 8 or 9,000 because they didn't flinch. They were like 15,000. Okay, that's it. So you definitely have to feel them out.
Yeah. And think of the company. If it's a big brand, like clearly, you know, they probably have a little bit of flexibility, but if it's, I don't know, I couldn't even give an example. I don't know if you have an example of a company that's a little bit smaller.
So say it's maybe like a Bruce Cost soda, or like Tito's was considered smaller until a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other smaller companies, but also look at the large events that they sponsor, because usually you can find information on that. So if a company is sponsoring an activation at South by Southwest for $150,000, they're not going to give you $150,000 for your 400-person conference, right? If they're sponsoring, you know, a large event for $50,000, they're not going to give you 30,000, you know. So you really have to gauge and have those tough conversations, because it's really your business and you need to make your money.
Right. A couple of people have been asking, like, where it's like a template for a deck, different things like that. That is a future webinar. We're going to be talking about the differences between a media deck and a sponsorship deck. This one is specifically about like sponsorships, things like that. So make sure you sign up for that one. I think it's in April, and that will be with Lily. So we're going to talk about decks there, but today we're just going to talk about actually the process of the money, and she's going to talk a little bit more about templates and things like that. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure y'all know I wasn't skipping your question, but one thing I did want to go back to is because we do have a few ladies on here who have nonprofits, or that they actually work with the youth. We talked a lot about brunches and conferences and, you know, people, you know, brands, influencers pitching the brands. But what about nonprofits? Is their approach any different than a for-profit business, and even someone who has like a youth group that's looking for sponsorships as well?
Yeah, so it is different. It's different line items. So sponsorship comes out of your marketing line item, and nonprofits come out of your nonprofit philanthropic line item. So that sometimes is a completely different company. Sometimes it's an agency that handles it. Sometimes it's a different company within. Sometimes it's also the marketing company. But your ask can be the same, but since they get a tax write-off, it's a little bit more flexible. So you don't have, I mean, I still like to have our clients hit like the hard numbers and collect the data, but when it's with children, it's very gray area. So you can't go collecting a bunch of data on folks' kids, right? So it has to be way more parent focused, because those are people with the money. So when it's nonprofit, you definitely have to be careful around the insights that you share and the numbers that you share around children as opposed to around adult, but the asks can be the same. And it's a little bit easier as a nonprofit to get some of the dollars. Like I have Walmart will hit me up and say, hey, you know, we have $10,000 that we need to go someplace. Like we need to go to a nonprofit. So there are companies that, especially like charity season, when there are all the balls and stuff happen later in the year, like the end of November, kind of beginning of December, when all of that stuff has kind of phased out, except because the Toys for Tots and all of that money has been separated. But now your budget's kind of is about to close out and folks will have money left over. So usually I'll say if you have a relationship, that's a time to send a little, hey, how you doing? And you might get a, oh, you know, we have an extra $2,000 left that we need to spend with someone.
Right. So moving on. And I hope that answers the questions about our nonprofits and one of the other things that she asked, and this probably could be the same for nonprofit or for-profit, is how often should you follow up with brands once you have pitched to them?
So
I'm also getting text message questions. That's probably why you're like, where is this coming from?
Okay, so I know you're going to talk about decks next month, but my company decks. So I'm going to say that because in our software, we have open notifications. So we know when people are opening them. So that's when you follow up.
Hold on. Let's go back. What kind of software do you use that you would suggest?
It's proprietary. It's my own.
There we go. All right. I'm gonna let you go ahead and answer your question. Go ahead.
So that's why it took 2 years to build this thing.
So you built your own software.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Build that. So, but that's one of the good things about the company is that when folks open our decks, we know. So that's when you follow up, because you know if somebody is opening it, then you're like, let me slide in your inbox real quick and be like, hey, such and such and such, wondering if you have any questions. Pick up the phone, hey, blah, 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 wondering, because it's kind of hard if you're sending a PDF file and it's just kind of out there in the world and then you don't know. I mean, for a good one for free is you can get Boomerang for Gmail. Boomerang lets you know when emails are open, right? So go get free Boomerang, and then at least you know the email is open. Doesn't necessarily mean that the deck was open, but you know when they open the email and you know how many times, right? So if you have Boomerang, or if you have any CRM, I use HubSpot. So HubSpot lets me know when people open up the email.
HubSpot is amazing.
I love HubSpot. I love HubSpot so much. It's my jam. It is, and that's one of the reasons why, because you don't have a link in your follow-up email, right? So you don't know when they open that. So if they've opened your initial email and your follow-up email, something is there. They didn't just delete you. So definitely utilize those softwares, because that's when you know to follow up. Now, if you're following up 4, 5, 6, 7 times, go ahead and delete that email. Move on to the next brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, because I feel like we kind of answered the tips. Ladies, please keep going with your, hold on, let's see. Okay, if you're a company that has been in business for 1 to 3 years, is it appropriate to seek out larger companies or start with smaller ones?
Combination. It really depends on what your demographic is and if you've already connected with the larger companies. So that 1 to 3 year period, if you have solid proven numbers, I mean, go for the gusto, but make sure that they match, right? So you don't want to be out here just pitching any old one and you haven't done any research. So making sure that you're going to their social media, making sure that you're looking up who the marketers are, who the D&I people are, and figuring out what projects that they're working on. A lot of people post on LinkedIn. So you can literally go through their LinkedIn and see what they're posting, what they're resharing, get clues and request a conversation. There's no harm in a conversation. Some people will be like, no, I don't have time to talk to you, which is absolutely fine. There are so many companies that you can work with, it's kind of unlimited. So I don't think that's 1 to 3 years. You can go after big companies, girl.
Yeah, for sure. Go after them. They're there. And there's usually someone on the other side of that table eager to work with us because they want to feel good about the money and who they spend the money on. So absolutely. I would not limit yourself on that. But that kind of brings me back to another question. And I think you kind of touched on it. So I don't know if, and so yes, the software is called HubSpot. Not Hoff, but HubSpot. HUB and then Spot.
And then a couple people, it's the one that's free. Boomerang, you can attach Boomerang for Gmail, and it'll track your emails and let you know. And then it'll give you reminders like, you sent this email 3 days ago. Follow up now.
Right. A couple people had asked this. We talked about it at the beginning of the conversation. What are good items to actually put in the recap that you send to the companies that sponsor? Like, what are things you should actually be putting in your recap?
Yep, I saw that comment. Besides pictures, you want to definitely have some pictures. You want to have the attendee count, the attendee demographics, sent out any surveys afterwards. So it's easier to kind of collect this data in person at the event just by asking simple questions. So we'll talk about your dinner again. So it was how many women? 40 women? 50 women? 40 women. So there's 40 women, right? So I want to collect age ranges. And you don't have to say, how old are you? You can say, oh, I went to such and such college in this year. Where did you go? Oh, I know somebody there. What year did you graduate? Now you basically know their age, right? So all those data points, you kind of want to collect and put them in. So age, ethnicity, gender, homeowner, occupation, income, what they plan on purchasing in the next 18 months. How? That's kind of a big ask, right? But you might have a conversation and somebody says, oh, I want to buy a new car. I just bought a new car. I'm looking to buy a new car. Oh, I'm looking to buy a house. Oh, I have a kid that's 3. You know, they're going to be going to school soon. So you kind of have to be creative. You can also just set out a survey. My brain is like a data center. So it's easy for me to talk and kind of collect the information as I go. But send out, a survey after. People might not answer it, but if you have a sponsor, that's a perfect sponsor opportunity. Fill out this survey to receive a $5 Starbucks gift card and use your sponsors in that way. Let your sponsors, that's how they can basically pay to get their data. So you want to make sure you have data, and then you want to make sure that you have the next steps. So after you cover all the data points, making sure that they got, whatever they were supposed to get. So say it was 10 things. They were supposed to get 3 social media posts. Here's a copy of the social media post and the social engagement. Here's a copy of the newsletter and how many times it was opened. Here's a copy, everything that was on that list, all those 10 items. Here's a physical copy of what you were supposed to get from that discuss sponsorship list. And then the last page should be next steps. Like, now that you've sponsored us, we're looking forward to working with you some more. Here's some upcoming opportunities we have. Let's hop on a call. You always want to get on a call and kind of walk them through the recap also, because that's another point of contact for you. And it kind of gets them excited. Like, yes, I can go into my boss's office and say that we did some work,
Yeah.
You definitely try and want to get them on the call to go over that recap too.
Good, like it. And as a good kind of starting point, when you all signed up for this is free. It's not sponsored or anything like that. But if you saw, I asked for like your year of birth, your profession, different things like that when you all signed up, because I'm collecting information so that if this does happen again, not a pandemic, this is not happening again. But if these questions like these webinar opportunities and stuff like that happen, I have information. I know where people are from. I know who's interested in things like this. I know their ages. I know the places that they work. So that's the point of usually when you register for stuff, they ask like these quick, 2-minute questions. It's because we're trying to collect information so that we can make these experiences even better for you all. So someone did ask how to kind of talk a little bit more about the personal brand and what to say when you're actually pitching the brand. I think you kind of covered that. But I guess if we wanted to be a little bit more detailed, I guess a question that we had originally was what kind of things can you offer brands in exchange for monetary partnership or free swag?
So basically, you're always offering up your following. Like, you're offering up your attendees, you're offering up your following, and that's why that data is so important, because they need to know if that matches what they're exactly looking for. So your first email can kind of always, if you can, reference something that they're already doing. So Airbnb is a company that we work with often. So Airbnb started, really developing campaigns around their experiences. They really wanted to do this experience push. So I reached out to my contact there and I'm like, hey, it's me. The subject line was something like, maybe we'll work on this together this year. And it was like, hey, here's a refresher of everything. These are our stats. This is our demographic. This is what we already worked on. I see because of your Instagram. I see because of your ads that are running that you're looking for X, Y, and Z. Can we talk about this? Instant respond, instant conversation. So you have to do some research into whatever company it is to really be prepared. So after you do that research, incorporate that into your email. Like, I've noticed that you've been running ads for this free webinar. Do you ever have guests on the webinar? Like, you know, what kind of people are you looking to for this webinar? Is there a possibility that I can promote this webinar? So you kind of want to get as specific as you can and let them come back and say, oh, well, no, we're not looking for that. But when we looked you up, you match this other program that we're running. So the more niche down and specific you can get and details you can provide, the best, because people love to know that you kind of know who they are. Like if they write articles, everybody got something to say someplace. If, you know, if they have an article on Medium, or if they have a Facebook post, or, you know, an Instagram post, reference that. Oh, you know, I agree with you on X, Y, and Z that you said, and start the conversation that way. It's a very different conversation than I'm such and such. This is what I want from you. Because brands don't care about what you want from them. They care about what you can do for them. You know, so if you're like, hey, I know this about you, and I know that this is what you need, and now I'm the person that can provide it, it's a different conversation than I'm this person, I'm this person, I'm this person, give me this because I'm the bomb. So we kind of want to get away from, you know, that. Get specific, look folks up, and hit them with, you know, some good facts.
Okay. Really quickly before we go into any of the questions, because there are some ladies here who have had events on their calendar, or they have campaigns with big brands. So let's just say they're facing a cancellation or a postponement because of this coronavirus pandemic. What advice do you have for influencers or organizers who rely on brand partnerships for income to do now?
Yeah, so we're not giving nobody's money back. So I'm gonna just flat out and start there. Like the money that is coming, we're keeping it all. So now we have to pivot, right? So one of the things that we've done has literally on our call for on Tuesday was sponsored. Our event was sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts. So now, like Monday, so like whatever, Friday, whatever day, we're like, okay, we're gonna go digital. Now it's time for me to hurry up and pivot, right? So it went like this. Hey, we're, you know, we love that you sponsored. We're still going to mention you throughout, but we're also, can you also provide us with gift cards to send to the attendees so they can go and grab some Dunkin' Donuts to have while we're all on the line? So now is an opportunity to kind of pivot, right? So if you have a sponsor that came in that was paying for the food and you have that money and you've turned your event to be digital, send everybody food. Postmates everybody while we still have the option to do that, and let everybody still have a meal together on the phone. If you know, if you have time, if your event is in a month, whatever the gift bags were, mail it to everybody. You know, pay for the postage and mail it so everyone can still have that experience. Send digital gift bags. We've had people send us digital ebooks, you know, to go into gift bags. Gift cards, of course, certificates that you can go to a store and redeem after this is all over, you know, an item if you'd like. So now is the time, if you can make it digital, make it digital. If there's, you know, a situation where it's a large sponsorship and now it's moving digital and you have some flex budget, do, what is it called? Home Chef. Send everybody a box of Home Chef and, you know, include in the experience, oh, we're going to all be cooking together for this, you know, experience. Now is the time to get as creative digitally as possible. Go on LinkedIn, go on Fiverr, find someone who does AR, find somebody who does, you know, virtual reality experiences, and, you know, make it so that everybody can change their backdrop to all have the same backdrop. So you all still feel like you're in the same kind of place. Now is the time to get as creative and digital as possible. And all that does is prepare you for going forward, because now it's something you can just incorporate all the time. So you're like, okay, right, we're having a live event, but now we're also going to have, you know, these digital elements as well.
Right.
So pivot. Don't get
that. All right, ladies, we're coming up at the end of our discussion. Do we have any more questions from the audience? We did have one other question that came through, and she asked, how do you find the people? And I think you already answered that. We talked about LinkedIn and also thinking outside of the box. It doesn't always have to be the marketing person or the D&I person. It could be anyone within the company structure, but it's about the way that you approach them. So I think that one was already pretty much answered at the beginning of the conversation. And you can add on to that if I missed anything, but I just didn't want you to be done there. Okay.
Nope, everyone in the company, and also look at agencies. Agencies is a great way to get multiple companies at once. right? So a
Right.
lot of states, I can't remember which ones don't, but in order to work with an alcohol company, you have to go through an agency. So what that does is that the PR or marketing agency usually has the whole house of alcohol. So that's a
Right.
great way to be able to incorporate a bunch of brands. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if an agency has a Target, a Starbucks, a Lowe's, a Dunkin' Donuts, you know, if they have 20 companies and you connect with that one agency, now you've connected with all of these companies
Mm-hmm.
at once. So ask
Right.
friends work at different places, you know, ask them what brands they like when you're going through your list.
Gotcha. Any other questions from anybody else from our audience? And I guess while we're waiting on those to come in, let me know, what are you working on right now during this mandated time? Everyone who has been on the webinar the other 2 days, we're going to say it all together: the rest and shut-in period. I don't like using the word quarantine. It sounds scary.
Shut in. So right now we have clients with a fishing trip. We have 4 travel clients who do either trips around the country, which is very interesting because, you know, nobody can go anyplace. So pivoting those, we have several financial conferences, several women empowerment conferences. We got about 30 decks to get through the pipeline. We have, which I was going to ask you, we have part 1 of our sponsorship strategy guide that I'd like to give away to 3 people on the call. So you can choose those people. And then.
Me? Okay, wait a minute. I don't want to be responsible.
Choose them.
I'll put everyone's name in a hat and I'm going to draw these 3 random names.
Okay.
I'm going to do that.
Draw that. And then everyone will get the template, the free template that I use to secure Dunkin' Donuts as a sponsor. So I'll send that over to Sabrina and she can email it to everybody so you can kind of see, you know, what the email looks like. And I didn't know them. I actually got them through an agency. I emailed somebody that I knew and was like, hey, are you still at Dunkin'? And they were like, no, where are you now? I said, Charlotte, North Carolina. And they said, well, we'll get you over to their agency. And then it was like in a matter of an hour. So we've been working with Dunkin'.
Girl, you have my phone going crazy right now. I'm not even going to open the text. I know they're like, you better send it to me. That's what I said. Why do I have to be the responsible person?
Because that's your data. I don't want to take it. But yeah, so that's what we're working on. Part 2 will launch, and then like the middle of the year, since I'm stressing that 18-month period, we're coming out with our planner. So it'll help you plan sponsorship 18 months out. So we're
nice.
super excited about that. It'll take you step by step. The strategy, the part 1, whoever wins it, it's gonna, if you're in the planning phases, that's what you want. You want that right there. You know, being a mom, I have a 3-year-old son, and, you know, continuing to pivot these deals for my clients and my other company. We got a whole bunch of
stuff. Tell us, I do want to, because there's several event organizers and inspiring influencers and also establishing I can't talk. Influencer. My phone is going crazy. I can't even talk. Tell us how do your services work? And I don't know, this could be, you know, the ladies could just reach out to you for a consultation, but a lot of people, I see a lot of people, yeah, there you go. She dropped her credentials in the chat box, but say it out loud because there are some people that are dialed in. But I do want you just to kind of give like a quick summary of how your services actually work.
Yeah, so there's a bunch going on over at That Deck Land, but mostly we create sponsorship decks and then curate the list of sponsors for you. So the most daunting task, as you know, is figuring who you're going to reach out to, right? You're like, I want sponsors, but who? So there's kind of a simple exercise that you can do, right? Where I have people walk into their houses and look around. So, you know, you go into your fridge and you look around. You can find about 30 brands. You go into your bathroom closet and look around and you're like, oh, Cantu. And then when you think about Cantu, you're like, Shea Moisture. And, you know, Aquila, I think it's called Aquila. I use the lemongrass stuff, but, you know, but then you you can branch out. So that's one of the things that we do. We curate the list for you. You just give us your demographics and we say, this is who's sponsoring stuff and this is who you need to reach out to. Then we have the one-on-one coaching, where we're in your ear the whole time, kind of like how Will Smith was in Hitch. So you get that email in and we're copied on it. And then we say, wait, say this, say this, say this. Until you've done it a lot and get the hang of it, it's kind of like you get anxiety behind it. You're like, they said no. And I'm like, that's not what I read. What I read was that you need to ask a different question. So helping people through that. And then we have a section where it's the list of assets is also super daunting, right? When you're trying to figure out what to offer brands. So there's a sneak peek package where you have the deck templates, where you have the asset list, where you have the contract for sponsorships, because you need to have a contract. And you also need to have insurance for your events. Have insurance, ladies. Make sure that it has an epidemic clause in it, because you'll get stuck out like South by Southwest did not have the clause in their contract. So right now, who knows what's going on over there? But yeah, so there's the
it's canceled all the way, right?
All the way canceled, but they still have, there's all that money. It's like a $330 million event a year.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Yeah, I'm very familiar. When I saw it was canceled, I was like, okay, what do I need to do? But that's a whole nother story.
Get that insurance with that clause in it, because you definitely want to be, covered, because now you got to get people's money back, and you may possibly have to give, vendors money back. And I don't have $330 million to be shelling out. But so yeah, we do that, and the coaching package is really popular. Then we have a package for all those latecomers who didn't listen when I said at least 3 months out for your event, and they trying to pitch people for the event 3 months and less. That's when we help you get gathered and get together really quickly with your deck, your list, and kind of push you forward. So there's a bunch of different things. The special offer section is a bunch of special offers, because we do want to help people, get through to the next, to the next phase. But even thinking about your company as having long-term sponsorships, right?
Right.
For my other company, Black Tech, we have 3-year sponsorships with other companies that, we do their promotion. We help them recruit, because they're always looking for Black talent, and we know where the Black technologists are. So, thinking like, what company can I partner with long-term that can give me a check twice a year, every quarter, however they pay, to grow and expand my business.
Right. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. It seems like everyone on board feels the same way. We randomly met at an event, and then someone shared one of her lives. Make sure you all follow her on social media, because she does lots of live videos and just gives out like weekly tips, something.
I'm talking crap. I just get on there and I'm
just yeah, but it'd be tea, y'all. It'd be the good tea, like it'd be some good stuff. And so one of our other panelists shared her video with me, and I immediately emailed her, and she was very quick and willing to come on to chat with you all today. This has been our highest attended webinar. So I was like, okay, this one is going to be a big one. That's why I had to pull out the sign, pull out my coat from the conference last year. I was like, I had to pull it together. So thank you so much. Huh?
Y'all emailing me already?
Girl, look, hey, get your money. I ain't hating. Before we hang up though, I have one other announcement that I want to make. All I want to say is that for everyone who is not aware, we do have the big women's conference, She Prevails Women's Conference. It is generally in August in Durham, but this year it is going to be in November. I have not fully announced it, but this was a change that just happened this morning. And not only is it not going to be in August, it's going to be in November. It's also going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina this year. Yes, girl, we calling you soon. So yes, I'm coming to Charlotte. There's lots of reasons I can go into why it's going to be in Charlotte, but one of the main reasons is it just comes down to numbers. And anyone that plans an event, I feel like I can be candid with most of the people on here. They're expensive. So when someone is willing to lend a hand, you go there, and you go to them, and you have it in their space. So that's basically where I'm at now. So that information will be made public to you all. So it's been pushed back, and it's been moved to another city, just because of everything that's going on. I like to have like a 6-month lead time for marketing, and I don't have that. So I don't feel comfortable. And I also still have weddings, and lots of my spring weddings are now rescheduled for late summer, early fall. And I want to make sure that I am present and attentive for them, and also for my events. So exclusive information for you all tonight, because I haven't told everyone yet, but I hope that you all can join us. And you will be seeing her again. She doesn't know she's going to be there, but she'll be there.
Yeah, that's right. You have to deal with brides. I know that's been crazy.
Actually, it hasn't. It really has. It has not. It's been great. It's been a lot easier than what I expected. Everybody has great vendor teams. We're working as a team and making it work.
Oh, good.
Everything always has a silver lining. And I also don't have like a super like stress kind of personality. Like I just like, okay, this is what we're going to do, and we're just going to move forward. I might scream when I hang up, but I never will let someone see that energy. So that also has made it easy as well. So here we are, ladies. It's 8:15. We're 15 minutes behind schedule. I'll see you all next week, just to kind of go over what, let me see, our next, where is it at? Okay, so next week, it looks like we are going to be speaking on Monday. And we're going to be talking about access to capital and funding, and that's going to be with Amber Bond. She is a small business and financial consultant, so that's perfect timing to talk about that. These SBA loans that are coming out, and these people telling us to invest and all these other kind of things. She's here to drop some knowledge on that. So I will see you all on Monday. We're going to be talking at 7 p.m. again.
Amber's my old boss.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I went to school cool. I did small business loans, and she was the vice president of my company. Yep. And she's amazing.
She is. So y'all, please make sure you tune in. Anyone who signed up like last week, and like halfway through this week, I added like 8 additional seminars. At this point, everybody is getting the emails, because I just can't even keep up with who signed up with what. Everybody's just finding out about all of the webinars. People's schedules are changing. Maybe they weren't available. Now they are. So everyone is just going to get the email. So in the event you did not originally sign up for that one, if you want to go back in and sign up, you can for any of the other sessions, but you will get the information moving forward. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Such a good job pulling this together, girl. So
I try. All right. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.